Yeah, welcome everyone to another live stream. Let's see how well this is going. Probably not so well. DOCSIS cable, internet, what should I say? And also, 1.7, 1.75 Mbit. And BIOS update. Previous video, this Asus workstation X570 board, huge issues with everything past 1302. And today updated to 3003 or something with latest and greatest AGESA and resizable bar support and stuff, and yeah, performance is still the same. Garbage, total waste of time. So if we crash, then already significantly reduced memory frequencies just with any of the other BIOS updates and stuff. But yeah, also I think this time, so yeah, whatever is sometimes with a Wayland capture, there were complaints previous video in regards to that. Sometimes that happens, this double buffering stuff or whatever strange stuff is going on. Anyway, let's do some Linux kernel update. Usually I don't update that early, but we can already prepare because what is better, crashing your system with broken AMD AGESA BIOSes and whatever Asus is tweaking there, also latest and greatest kernel. So let's see, I have here unfortunately a couple of things gathered. Yeah, so let's also commit this. This is a previous video, SG Octane. I didn't actually commit this. Ironically, I sent this to the Linux kernel mailing list. Of course, nobody reacted yet because vintage QLA 1280. So also include SGI MIPS 64, not really. It could also affect any other, but QLA 1280 patch to mainline trunk, whatever, doesn't matter too much. Something like that, commit that, and then let's, so the only thing is usually we run this update script, but because this, well, we could theoretically, so that would be 5.10.1, also best with a package name, and among other things, so this will probably, internet test, will probably result, if it downloads, maybe it doesn't. Why does it? All right, it's a patch, obviously. Yeah, this is why I actually wanted to do it manually and still have to do it, but commenting that out and then removing that for a start. Let's probably try that again for the checksum. So this will be a little bit of DOCSIS shared medium testing. Let's see how many drop frames. Also, we can already clean up the Spark build. Someone tested this. Oh man, what is today with me? Clean up build, invalid option, what? Also without VI, whatever. Someone tested this. I'm not sure if I tested that. I wanted to full disk encrypt, convert the Sunblade 1K also, but haven't done yet. And so the only thing is then well, actually the Linux kernel is the last thing I can actually revert to that after the test. So let's rebuild that. I mostly rebuild this only to have a nice version. I could only selectively rebuild the init.rd because previous video I fixed there that the installer doesn't try to assembly any LLVM2 MD-ADM software rate. This also, we need to revert this. Also sometime really soon. This is only for Rust. This is actually a major rework in my to-do. Yeah, of course, drop frames, not as bad, but we will see. So yeah, major rework is coming. That probably takes at least a whole afternoon. It's actually not that much work, reworking the stages so that we have more flexibility, cross-bootstrapping stuff. It's mostly because Rust needs C library and compiler, and why can't we? All right, we need the C library, right? This is why it's a little bit chicken and egg problem that we normally don't have, because usually we have C compiler and then C compiler, C library, and with this Rust case we need C compiler, then C library which is not, it's not the same stage because it's not toolchain. We have the separated toolchain stage of this because it's still native building with cross target, and then the glibc is actually cross compiling. That is why it's a later stage. And then chicken and egg circle thing of we actually need Rust compiler, which actually is toolchain. So we need some more stages than 2. So some previously talked rework, but this is at least an afternoon with the usual random nonsense happening and testing and more testing, likely a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, so far I spent here already way too much time rebooting 20 times, dialing the frequencies back. So how bad is it? It is as, what do we even run right now? DMI decode, I think I don't have a serial number here in anymore. DDR4, so this is 3266. So how bad is this? And the performance impact is real. It's not just like some random number. But before this, the original BIOS, that's this Asus WS-X570 Ace, came is 1302 with whatever AGESA that was. And any AGESA and BIOS after 1302 significantly worse. Sorry guys, because I'm a little bit overworked. Yeah, so the performance impact is real, and this shows, we could actually for fun, how much is this linear scaling, 3266 of 4000, and yes, this is massively over. Well, actually the performance impact is more than that, or is it? It is actually, this is already a little bit, is it 4%? Well, maybe it's 4%. Another fun fact is, I said this before, maybe the whole overclocking, because this is a little bit overclocked, and honestly with all the time wasted, which actually only happened with this bloody BIOS updates, right? So previously I just plugged it in and had some previously known good settings for the 1350X, and it kind of worked. And basically, yeah, so much to previously I never touched my BIOS, right? Fun fact, probably in 15 years or my first 20 years, I think that previously this were socketed chips anyway that you barely updated. Also probably they had often a flash protection setting, and well, socketed in 386 and 286 times, right? But yeah, fun fact, in 20 years I never upgraded a BIOS, and now that the first time ever, only because of this YouTube hype of new AGESA and new performance and less latency and whatnot, the first time ever I upgrade a freaking BIOS, and it's the biggest clusterfuck of shitload of bullcrap ever. It's ridiculous. And a fun fact also, probably for production stuff, unless you run this for like 2 years in a high performance cluster or something, you probably never get the hours. Think about all the hours you sit there and reboot and test and dial in, like the big YouTubers. You probably never get this time back, because over a year probably it never saves you as much for performance, or even if it's 6, 7, 8. Although to be fair, this is still a little bit overclocked, but so the total overclock performance might be something like 10%, just like now I only get 6%, or so basically 4% loss or something. But yeah, unless even with my workload of daily compiling open source stuff, I'm not sure if I'll ever get this back. And maybe I should actually do this more like Linus Tech Tips kind of CPU dropping and producing here some 4K video of BIOS settings, of probably better shouting out that what a cluster of this BIOS stuff is. Anthony, sorry that overworked. Yeah, it's also this newborn junior, right? If it would just be the work, it would probably be okay, but that, and so yeah, some sleepless nights and extra junior care, morning, evening, and in between, and of course this analog virus stuff of everyone sitting at home all day, at home or in the office. What is this going on here? By the way, do we have? Yeah, also as this command wrapper, so this is not memory related. Not really sure. I recently fiddled. There's some new IOCTL support in there. Not really sure why this is crashing now, but yeah, C is amazing. We got this even eyes, like, yeah, thank you very much. The problem is it's a little bit difficult to debug because I don't actually know. Probably I need to check that we get a core dump of this. Oh man, too much overclocking, because to debug this, it would be good to know with what kind of arguments this wrapper is crashing. Let's test this. So the reason test building this is not only testing this per se, but we have a couple of patches. So for me, the just added QLA 1280, but also a couple of other things, including IT87. It's like, yeah, speaking about firmware loader, darn, this is my own stuff. Fun fact, I sent the set standard compressed stuff upstream, but nobody cared, except ironically Phoronix, huge article, some unsuccessful one-man YouTuber implements set standard compressed firmware loading, yay, the future, and no Linux kernel developer except Phoronix cared about this, so yeah. ADM log9 Linux. So this only failed a little bit. I also, ironically, I just thought the other day I probably should resend that. But yeah, a recurring theme if you're not pinging those people on a weekly basis. So open source 2020, you not only need to do the work for free, you also need to spend more time reminding them on a weekly basis to ever get this upstream. So unfortunately, we probably, what is by the way going on with, let's redo that. Unfortunately, we need to disable temperfest. I also need to make here some, probably I should really create a, oh shit, this is also wrong. I probably should create there a if failed, then copy over to regular file system stuff to, why no? Probably this didn't regenerate. This is a little, yeah, probably the config. Is it no building? And maybe I should actually check this. Clean up build. The problem is that I changed the version. This is a little bit of corner case. Change of the version did not result in, yeah, we have, you know, I mean, what did I actually fund? Do I need the other? I don't really need the other. Let's clean that. I cleaned this anyway before the build. So yeah, just rebuild this. So this is a recurring theme, and probably I should. Fun fact and fun reminder, right? With all this YouTube for your entertainment and that you learn something. Also, the set standard stuff, recurring reminder. We did this for the PS3 to optimize memory usage, because with the set standard, because if we load the init.rd, the stuff is uncompressed, and if we uncompressed all the firmware, it gets relatively large in memory, and the aging Ultra Spark 10 or PS3 does not necessarily have too much of that. Let's see what did, let's hope not too much rejected, or just a tiny little bit. So they changed this, so this is a common thing of, maybe I also should actually simply not touch this. I renamed this, but let's see. Extract, what did change there? Set standard single page. So let's, it is a tiny little bit. Well, we could just, so we renamed that. Get file system. Did I copy the right thing off? No, I didn't copy the right thing. Oops. Could be API, could be anything in between. Maybe I only renamed this other option for upstream niceties, because I thought it's nicer to have that option named. Here is ENO and non-direct. Okay, so the rest is, what I then sometimes do is try to just patch the patch. This is a little bit, I would call this Guru. Package base, if I would also, so it's done that. Not to have to rediff this. Normally, normal persons would not necessarily edit this here, but editing patches is fine. I learned this. You know, this is kind of stuff. Nowadays, maybe you wouldn't necessarily do this anymore. All right, we could actually, yeah, let's leave the temp fs off. Maybe the next patch also fails. Let's see. This is this kind of stuff that you do on SGA Octanes already in 2006, or actually my Sun Ultra Spark 5 there in 2003 and stuff, and you have 270 megahertz, or hello, I think I've run again some wrong command. Time to go home. Yeah, let's see what else will fail there. So the Spark thing, I mostly, someone reported that this Spark thing never finished assembling LVM2, and I saw and patched this. So if you run VG, I was joking, the other video, VG change, if you, VG volume group change -AJ, with an empty argument, then this is crashing, and this was only a regression. It's also, yeah, see, we got this. I was joking the other live stream, but can't repeat this. Amazing findings. I theoretically, leave me in the comments below if you should spend my extra time and efforts to patch this to not crash with empty volume names, but nah, I can't make this up. So this only happened because I unified the init.rd code, and we reuse system booting for installer, one of the many previous video episodes. And I changed this to not do this if no root is specified. So if command line root is empty, then simply don't run this, prevent this crash. I suspect usually this was crashing like this on me. Maybe the one who tried the Spark ISO, it's maybe on Spark, it's like maybe implementation defined random garbage, whatever is happening there. Maybe it's infinity looping. Oh, this is also still, maybe we didn't patch this correct so much to okay, and let's patch this for real a little bit. So fix file, actually let's copy the whole thing. So we could, you know what, it's actually easier if we read this in VI, because then we have a proper spaces, fix file, Z and xset are probably the last xset here of somewhere get xset get, or get what exactly, you know, direct, where was this? Here. Maybe this is, there was also one direct, probably this is why this didn't apply. So much to, yeah. That probably should be better. Let's try that again. Yeah, probably I should also spend the extra efforts to, that is a difference. Also, well, we are the only ones to have this feature, but on the other hand, collecting the fame of contributing their feature, and also actually making my life easier, because if it's upstream, then I don't have to potentially read if this, what is still wrong with this thing. Let's read it in whatever. So much saving time, and in the end not fix file. Did not work as well as I hoped. Yeah, where is that even? So basically, That should be, I hope I pretty. So read in that file and maybe this is go to, maybe there was some other go to there. Let's see, so delete that, then in BIOS F. No shit, actually there are some leading spaces, darn. Something like that. Let's see, fix file diff of do we have, yeah, maybe this, there was some firmware opt partial. What is that even? Option flex or partial? No, not really sure what new option that is. This is also, yeah, so this is why it did actually not apply, but no, so much to that. Fix file diff x. Whatever this is, yeah, now the issue is we lose in there. We lose the precious git header if I source this all. Just to keep this nice git header function request firmware thing. So yeah, so this stuff was why this didn't apply there. I only wonder, do we have an extra new line now? 1, 2, 3. So hopefully this works now. The diff is only very minor there of no direct thing of whatever firmware partial is. Let's try that again. Yeah, but all the extra efforts to make this as best working on P3 as possible. I hope there's not. Yeah, the silly thing is even IT87 temperature sensor stuff. I have a custom patch of the last release there of the person who maintains it previously. But yeah, 2018 or when that was, Linux kernel developers already so burnt out that they stopped maintaining some sensor support stuff. Yeah, so it looks like this dialed in Asus not as much overclocked, is at least somewhat stable. At least we have resizable bar support now, so yeah, and support for new AMD Ryzen CPU, should we ever get one of those. So yeah, now this is apparently longer compiling. This also is, yeah, so this all of this applied. The last was it's not compressed actually. This is only tiny thing. Yeah, IT87, this is not upstream, this was just a hack. Yeah. Actually still not that many patches. Maybe I test run this the next days just for the fun of it. But I will only commit this to T2 with the first .1 patch. We can, by the way, take a look. All the changes, at least as listed here, are rather huge on kernel newbies. Here some, do they have long-term support, something. X4 provides faster fsync. What else is new? M-advice, processes, direct calls to be used, indirect calls, proved what? Red pooling performance support for register encryption, AMD switch list guests, memory tagging extensions, number of security issues, code, low, direct calls, indirect calls, something. So what else do we have there? So relatively much as usual, but yeah, 10,000s of people sending in patches. What is it? Since I/O ring was introduced, widespread adoption. This I/O ring, previous videos, high performance I/O ring buffer scheduling stuff. What do they have here now? Share the ring with less trusted processes. few API changes. Memory hints for other processes. Static calls for improved post-spectral performance are memory tagging, core. But here it's in a way impressive how much you can still change in a kernel after 30 years. You would think eventually this in this Linux kernel is changes. But this changelog here on kernel use is relatively impressive, spending all this time and effort documenting all this stuff. Virtualization. So yeah, massive changes, but for a microkernel, wouldn't it be nice if you could separately update the stuff like improvement fixes to the TCP/IP stack? And for example, if you have a server stuff, you get independent updates for just SCSI drivers, and for you to know what you actually need to update or not, if whether you need to reboot or even dynamically restart this. But yeah, really many, as usual, yeah, no surprise, as usual, really many changes. Do we still build this? Apparently yes. So yeah, only one patch needs rediffing, QLA 1280 upstream. Probably I should spend the extra efforts, so this would actually be going to a git checkout. Pull probably some force reset hard stuff, and because I also have some QLA 1280 changes. I wonder when this, I also previously upstreamed, or not, sent upstream GCC G5 cell that is also not yet processed. So yeah, this is what we sent upstream here of previous video. And sending that upstream like rediffing would be patch P1 of T2 clean package base Linux set standard. And then making this a nice git diff. I usually send this in. But yeah, usually I don't like touching other stuff. I only, again, rename this because it's a little bit misleading of loader compress when it's xset. This is why that is in there. I wonder, was this all of it? Because, yeah, self-test, so I even spent the extra effort of good citizen of adapting the self-test thing to xset. That looks good for the most part, except maybe I could trim out this white spaces there. This, or is it even top maybe? Yeah, maybe I actually do that in, oops. SVN diff, obviously. Maybe we simply do this in here. It was somewhere like probably this one. Yeah. Just to make them more happy, and then sending this back in again. It's a little bit annoying for me to spend even more, not only spending the weekend doing that, but then having to constantly remind them and resend this. Anyway, so that's the Linux kernel update. Yeah, this Asus BIOS update, super disappointing, time-wasting stuff. Recurring theme probably, but leave me in the comments below. What is your experience with this modern PC BIOSes? Overclocking, undervolting, and the reason, by the way, I don't all core, so I didn't like all core upclocks and stuff, because as soon as you touch multipliers other details like that. It disables precision boost and whatever precision core turbo boost, whatever stuff. And then you don't get here this kind of extra boost, right? And so this is when we have configure stuff. Oh, this also didn't build. So when we have like configure stuff running, so for me the performance obviously way higher with 4.4. Instead, if we would like all core constant dial in whatever stuff, then we would lose quite some performance and certainly waste some electrons, but even waste performance for this kind of serial configure runs. Why does this, what did error out now? Too many arguments for firmware platform of what? So much to that. Good that we tested that. Looks like we are not yet done. So much to rediffing. Often it's not only rediffing something a little bit, but fallback of also API. Too many arguments for 1010. Did we even touch this? Oh, wait a second. Or did I actually messed up this merge there of manually merging that in. So I guess it doesn't get this so much too good that we didn't instantly send this upstream. Also, by the way, then we can also polish this here already. So then the spaces were here. And so what do we have here of one, two. As you see, not necessarily the most recommended thing to manually edit patches because error prone, but we are feeling also wrong command. Yeah, so again, so that actually this all, I mean, this is right now, not also some cores were throttling down. Yeah, the all core, the automatically AGESA tuned all core boost is not, is usually a little bit below 4.2, 4.1, 60, 70, 80. But there you also see the difference. But leave me in the comments below, do you all core overclock whatever stuff? Because yeah, certainly nicer to have some couple of % faster configure and whatnot runs. Mr. Bong, welcome everyone else. Anthony says most real tech tubers tell you all get a good cooler. Yeah, we have this Noctua previous video, right? Noctua NH15D whatever stuff. Nothing manual seems to beat precision boost in the long run, it seems. Well, so the problem is with if you manual tweak some values and you disable the turbo boost thing there, precision boost, and that is for me, I need this for better serial configure performance. Probably if you run fixed all core overclock, you probably can get a little bit better, but you in this generation of Ryzen before 5000 and even in Ryzen 5000 you only get both of it with apparently not AMD official but custom Asus and stuff, BIOS tweaks. Apparently with Ryzen 5000 there is now the possibility to keep both, like precision boost for most cases if amps are below whatever, and if amps go below something like 60 watt or so, switch back. It's a little bit frightening for me that the BIOS messes around with the CPU boosting and frequency, power, target stuff on the fly. I also don't find some YouTubers, even my neighbor said this genius, like neighbor der Bauer here in Berlin, said it's a genius solution in my opinion. It's not very genius. I would actually prefer a little bit like always. Why not? Like in my opinion, it's neither genius nor very clean. In my opinion, it would be amazing. What really would be amazing would be to have real control, like overclock frequency stages at each level, and not the BIOS is behind the back of the processor fiddling around there. So to have, for example, more genius would be like precision boost plus 50 plus 100 megahertz or whatever. That would, in my opinion, be more genius than this whatever stuff. So let's hope that finally builds. Let's also yeah, 5.1. So yeah, actually this is actually not too bad for the CPU. 67-ish. Maybe one day I get an AIO water thing. Where did I close this other? Maybe apparently. But yeah, testing, more testing, especially when you read the patches, not only when you build your fancy distribution. And so git reset, I think, hard. This is also the thing. Also, most people don't run stuff like that. In my opinion, not the cleanest command line interface stuff. Somehow I'm not really sure where did I do this here? In which of the many? 1, 2. Not really sure where I did this, but whatever. P1. Or did I do this in another? Whatever. Too many tiles here. So this probably, yeah, it's a little bit sad that you need to spend so much extra time. It would have been nice to get some feedback. Maybe I should actually run this through some check patch stuff. But anyway, yeah, but this all-core, again, this precision boost all-core thing, not too bad. I'm actually not really sure. I'm somewhat tempted to get an AIO water thing there, just to get a better understanding and data point whether that would clock a little bit higher. But I have the feeling maybe not. So I'm not sure if the CPU would be at 60, also 4.2. Yeah, I mean, anyway. What is Mr. Bonk reverse virgin RMD, some odd design calling, convention around, register. So Mr. Bonk has fun with his ISA designs, his Sux extension. So yeah, so that's it for that. Theoretically, we have some. By the way, one more pro tip. Theoretically, we have some more updates theoretically to do behind Dater's back, because Dater does not auto update everything. One data point, by the way, for those overclocking with Linux, one thing at least, early booting without running benchmarks to see if it's stable and what performance you get. One thing is a tip, looking at some kernel boot statistics, AVX2X here, for example, 2x2. So this is, I realized, a relatively nice instant data point when you boot where you are performance-wise. To like, yeah, is it totally off? Is the BIOS doing crazy stuff? Yeah, just for you playing along at home. Anyway, that's it for this video. I can't live update while this is running, obviously, anyway. I hope you learned something, including Linux 5.10 is out, but microkernel wise, as I said in the beginning, I would also think would be pretty nice if you would get updates like Linux packages of Ethernet NIC stuff updated, and also have like more stable APIs, and also know now you want to reboot. Even with each security update in the Linux kernel, you might never really know, does it affect me with all the bug fixes in Ethernet and stuff? And in my opinion, this would be pretty amazing, similar to packages like E1K, AIM2 GPU stuff, and then even your package manager would actually know whether that is something that is used on your side or whether it's actually worth to reboot or not. But something you don't necessarily get here with this monolithic Linux kernel. Anyway, so yeah, so far, I mean, it's not so bad. By the way, with this somewhat a little bit overclocking memory stuff, the CPU is undervolted. The CPU is boosting much nicer, much longer, much higher, with less heat, obviously, so it's 0.075 volt undervolted, I think. But yeah. So Spark build running there, Linux kernel probably finishing there. And I can probably continue with some more work. I should actually finish. Yeah, this is compressing the init RD, obviously. And this set standard compressed firmware there. I hope you learned something and enjoy this update, this kind of vlog style as usual. For 2021, I hope I can improve this style significantly. Better scenery, better topics, more testing, more hardware, more software, and I hope to see you soon for all this fun stuff to come. And I also hope Vodafone eventually fixes our DOCSIS, because 1.75 Mbit with still 3000 drop frames or 3.75% does not really cut it in 2020 or 2021 for that matter.